In progress.
Oh, that's fancy.
Yo, you like that?
I love that. Is
Rockin'
that
high school, baby.
I love it. How you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you?
Oh, I am just living the dream. Just trying
Yeah.
trying to stay cool.
How is the weather out there? Is it on the warmer side?
Yeah, there's been a couple days where I swear it's been like 50 degrees in the morning, but like clear blue sky, but like other than that, it's like 75 all the time.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean, I don't want to say it gets boring, but it does kind of get boring after a while. You're like, God damn it, where's the snow? I need some snow to have the snow days and do puzzles with Morgan. I need more time. I need more time in the house.
That's right. How's it back home right now?
Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. 50 during the day, wake up, it's 35. It's been like that for 2 weeks.
Nice.
We're supposed to get
Okay.
we're supposed to get a little bit of precipitation in the next couple of days, but who knows? I mean, it's been so mild this winter. I mean, we were joking the other day. I'm like, we could have got this. We actually have better weather in Billings than they do in Sacramento right now. I mean, it's colder, it's wetter. I mean, they're floating away.
Damn.
California's going to fall off the ocean, off the map, which isn't the worst thing in the world, I guess.
I mean, who's gonna miss Sacramento anyway?
Yeah. There's a couple people I'll miss, but there's a lot that I won't, Gavin Newsom.
It's is that where you're from, like originally, like where you like grew up, or like how did you end up in Sacramento?
So I was born and raised in the Bay Area, East
Okay,
Bay, Pinole, Berkeley, that little corridor of the Bay Area I was in. And it was, good times, blue collar, middle class family. Um, and then when I got into the workforce, I first started off as, just kind of an IT guy, and then got into IT leadership. And then IT leadership led me to public schools. So I was, a CIO in public schools for about 15 years before I moved to the dark side of sales. And when you're in California selling software to the government, you tend to gravitate towards Sacramento. So that's how I ended up in that neck of the woods.
gotcha. Yeah, no, I'm trying to remember when we were there because I was originally born in Oregon, and then we ended up moving to Rocklin, which I know is somewhere around Sacramento, correct?
That was the town I lived in.
No way.
Yeah,
Really?
that is so funny. Yep, we were right off 65.
Okay, yeah. We lived in Rockland for I want to say like 3 or 4 years when I was like a kid up until like first or second grade, and that's how I ended up moving to Washington State, and then obviously out to Montana. So small world.
That's so funny. Yeah, right? This little town called Rocklin. I'm like, Rocklin? That's home.
That's awesome.
That's funny.
Okay, right on. So from I guess how did you end up in Montana then? I feel like that's a hell of a move.
It is. I mean, so my kids are now 21 and 20 and divorced, so we were splitting time in Rockland, so they were, with me half the time, then with mom half the time.
Hmm.
Then when my daughter graduated, she said, you know what? I need to get out of, this space. I need to become my own human. And so she left the state and went to Arizona to go to Grand Canyon University to pursue her teaching credential.
Nice.
Mom, whose parents relocated from Colorado to Surprise, which is, I guess, northwest Phoenix area. And so they were down there, and my ex had always wanted to live close to her parents. So once the kids got out of high school, she said, well, you know what? It's time for me to go relocate and do that. So my son wanted to, let's see, trying to say this, politically correct. he didn't want to have to follow the rules of dad's house. So he decided to go with mom down to Arizona. And, Aaron and I, my wife, were like, okay, well, we're in California. We're looking for something different. And then we got a call from her uncle who's got the early stages of dementia popping up.
Mm,
And so my wife had gone through 20 years of early onset Alzheimer's with her mom. So she was very skilled in being able to provide extra help for that. So we're like, all right, if we can move out to an area where we have, more freedom, less, government oversight and control and mandates on us than we did in California, and we can provide, some extra care for her uncle, it's a win-win. So that's how we ended up out here. We came out was it Labor Day weekend in 2022 for a week, stayed out at Hysham for a little while with our cousin, and then, just did all of our exploring in Billings, and we fell in love with the whole area.
oh, okay. It's,
Yeah.
I honestly don't hear a lot of people say they fall in love with Billings, Montana. So,
It's the whole surrounding area.
okay.
I love the wide open space. I love driving to eastern Montana. That's like,
Mm,
by far my favorite because you know, you're surrounded by the rim rocks as you're driving, down and you're, following along the Yellowstone River. And then you got, thousands and thousands of big round hay bales. And every time I drive, I'm driving out to, Savage or Glendive or wherever, I'm like, I just need to sell enough software so I can buy a ranch and get on a John Deere. Just that's all I want.
you getting close?
No,
That's,
no, no. I'm probably farther away now than I was, when I had those dreams.
oh shit. Okay, since you've been out, have you kind of picked a side yet? Are you a Cats guy or are you siding with old Grizzlies? Or do you
Um,
care?
Go. I don't care, but we've chosen obligatory and we've chosen the cats. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. I went out to Missoula once. Um, and it reminded me of what I left in California.
That
And
was
I'll leave it at that.
that was kind of going to be my next question. If you've kind of like visited like Missoula and Bozeman and kind of like said we've had all those influx of Californians, not to throw you into that
Yeah.
bucket of people, but like how how does that kind of like the environments like does that kind of remind you of like home? So that's interesting that you kind of bring that up that it's like yeah, this is kind of what I left, so it's not a fan of it. So
I have to deal with it a little bit in my line of work because typically government officials and people who work for the government in any kind of administration role or IT role or procurement role, they tend to lean a little bit more leftish. And so I have developed kind of a skin of how to deal with those people without offending, because the climate that we're in right now, I mean, we're so polarized. So if I say that, I'm, a conservative Republican, people who I've never met who don't know me, we could be in the gym for months and months and months and be the best of friends around iron. But then as soon as they find out that I'm, a conservative Republican, uh, you're the devil. Don't you dare think about spotting me. Don't, no, I don't want your wire brush to clean off my deadlift bar. I am fine. You're one of the others, and we don't want to have anything to do with you. All right, later, Holmes. But so
yeah,
I've had to deal with that a little bit in my line of work, be a little bit guarded in what I say. But in driving over and spending time in Bozeman, Missoula, and Helena, it does remind me of quite a bit, of some of the California bullshit that we were escaping. But for the, I mean, there's a good mixture though, where you have kind of the old guard of Montanans, the ones with the, the 3/4 ton, the full ton trucks with a cistern in the back. I see more trucks with cisterns in Montana than I did seeing electric cars in California.
That's saying
It-
something
It's
too.
it's pretty funny. I'm just so glad that we didn't end up in a development where I needed to do that. Get a bigger truck with a cistern in the back so I could fill up my well.
Uh, where at in Billings are you guys? Are you guys more on the west end, or
We're up in the heights.
you're up in the heights too? Okay.
Yeah. It's funny is that, when we were looking at a 2D map for like 6 months prior to moving out here and trying to figure out what area we wanted to be in, did we want to be on the west end where all the new development is? Did we want to be in the heights and be close to the airport? And you just don't know. And, you're looking at a flat map and all right, well, the heights seem good. But then when we got out here, like, oh God, I don't want to be in the heights at all. There's too many cars on the street. There's no services. If we want something, we're still going to drive to the west end anyway. And so, we fell out of escrow in a couple of houses on the west end, and then Aaron showed me this picture of a house that we just had just fallen out on. It looked exactly the same. Okay, I'll go look at it. I don't want to buy it. It looks too much. I'm heartbroken. We lost the last house. This one looks just like it. I don't want to get another puppy now. As soon as we walk into the house, they had a doggy door built into the side of the wall going out for the. I'm like, all right, my eyes are open. This one here's a contender. And we fell in love with the area. It's quiet. It's kind of like this nice little area that's tucked away in the heights, so you don't have all the the traffic. You don't have all the cars on the driveway and all that. So we just feel so blessed to have found this place at the time that we did.
That's awesome. The only complaint I've ever really had about the Heights is that there is not that I even like eat off my meal plan to begin with, but like there's just no
Mhm.
restaurants.
Exactly. Exactly. And I've had to start cooking for myself again. I mean, you know how it is. You get into strength training and then you're like, well, how am I going to get better? Okay, I'm going to focus on my weaknesses. And, for the first, 6 months, a year until you get wise, you're thinking, okay, it's got to be, are my toes pointed the right angle? And, this and that. And you're thinking about all these, things that you can control in the gym. But really, that's what? 15% of the total results that we're going to get because so much of it is around nutrition and eating timing and all that stuff.
Hmm.
Um but you just get bored of it or you get fatigued of it and you're like, okay, I don't want to cook. I mean, I probably went a good 9 months without prepping a proper meal for us for the week or whatever, just because you have life that happens. Um but then you're like, okay, I'm on the West End. I don't want Pizza Ranch again. So I better watch a YouTube video on how to make some good food. And just I've got the itch. So now I've like, I went out and discovered Zest Kitchen store. That
Okay.
place is fabulous. I picked up a potato ricer this weekend. Best thing ever.
All right.
Um, Found out about a place called the Meat Palace, one of the best butchers in Billings. It's over on Industrial, over behind like Best Buy and all those places over there.
Oh, okay.
I guess you have King, and then 24th comes this way, King's coming up this way, and then Industrial's the next one. Anyway, it's back over in there. And then we found another place called Seafoods of the World, kind of a wholesaler distributor just around forget about it. So we got crab and we got jumbo Mexican tiger prawns and pancetta and all kinds of. We're gonna have fun on Valentine's Day.
That's
Who
awesome.
needs to go out when you can barbecue king crab legs?
Exactly, dude.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, shoot, that sounds like it beats my weekly Costco run, so that's I'm jealous.
Costco and Sam's Club.
Uh-huh.
That's our jam. Where
Well,
else are you going to get a 10-pound tube of ground beef? I mean,
it,
that's a week's worth of food.
yeah, dude. Or at least a couple meals for me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so powerlifting, how did that become like your thing?
I am the kind of guy who needs focus in the gym. Don't tell me to go work out because that's boring. Um, Tell me why I need to go work out and then attach a goal to it. So it started off, yo-yoing weight for years and years and years. And then I ultimately got control of my weight. And my son at the time was a freshman in high school. And freshmen in high school, they get around all their buddies in the gym playing football. And I'm a big man on campus. Watch how much I can bench press. So my son comes up to me one day after school and says, "Hey, Dad, I bet you I can out squat you." And at the time, I hadn't been squatting. I was doing more, just isolation type movements. I said,
Hmm.
"All right, give me a month, and then we will actually squat. But if you want to do it now, I'll do some leg pressing with you." So we go and we start leg pressing, and I think I got up to about 700 for a couple reps, and I was feeling all right for an old man. I'm feeling pretty good. And this 14-year-old punk kid, reps mine out for 10 and then puts on more and more and more. All right, that's the last time you're ever going to beat me. And to this day, he still never beat me, whether it's in the gym or on the platform. So we took it from there where we took that, "Dad, I can squat more than you," and turned that into, a competition on the platform. And I fell in love with it. It was, what I needed because I had found out early on, like 18, 19, that bodybuilding and physique, type competitions, while I was very intrigued, I lacked the discipline around nutrition to be successful at that. So when I found powerlifting, like I can lift heavy weights, I can stroke my ego, and I don't have to be super anal about my diet. I am in. And then I just fell in love with them. Like it was like, okay, how can I get 2.5 more pounds on my total on this lift? Or how can I address this weakness? Okay, my squat's stuck at 500. How can I, what is it that I need to do? Is it a technique issue? Is it a weakness issue? And so it became this puzzle that I'm, constantly trying to figure out and complete. And the great thing is that I probably never will figure it out completely. So I get to keep chasing it.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the gym, right? It's like there's never you can never truly be satisfied with anything you do,
Mhm.
right? So it's just always continue progress. So that's
Yeah.
my favorite thing about it too. It's
Yeah.
just always working for something for yourself. So, um, yeah. So you started you started powerlifting. You do a lot of coaching for that now too, as well. Is
I
that
do. I take coaching very seriously, um, because I know what I expect out of a coaching relationship.
right?
And it's the my biggest frustration is, well, it maybe it's not a frustration, it's more of a, just something stupid in our society. You get these people who, they come in, January 1st and they start working out. And great. I'm glad you're in the gym. It's wonderful. Progress. But then they see somebody like you or me or Morgan, and they're all, "Oh, I want to do what they're doing." So they ask a question: "Are you a power lifter? How do I get involved in that?" So you point them towards those things, and then they end up doing their first meet. Right after that first meet, you see in their bio, "DM for online coaching." I'm like, motherfucker.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of that with bodybuilders too. They win a local show, and next thing you know, they're just DM me, dude. I'll write you a meal plan. I know exactly what to do.
Yeah, bless your heart. I know what I did, and it'll work for you because all meal plans are universal.
Yep.
So yeah, I So I've had a number of people when I was back in California ask me about, whether or not I would help them with coaching or no, no. If you want to come in and be a part of our crew, absolutely come in. You can learn collectively from the group. But I'm not, I take it way too serious, and I don't see what I want to see from you, and I don't want to take the time of frustration that it's going to fall on me when I see you lollygagging and jerking around.
Hmm.
Um, I had one kid in California that he was a 16-year-old kid, and he was, probably a 145 or, small kid, but he was relatively strong, and um, I was helping him out with some technique things. And then he seemed like he had the kind of drive to really want to be what I was looking for in an athlete. That sounds a little selfish and self-centered, but you want certain kinds of clients to work with because you know that it's going to be beneficial for them, and ultimately, that's the goal, is to help them get the outcomes that they're looking for.
Absolutely.
Working with him for maybe a month, and I had to drop him because he came up to me after, I gave him a program. He's all, so where am I going to be able to get some gear? Because I think that if I'm going to get to the next level, if I'm going to set the teenage world records, I need an edge. I'm like, you've been lifting for 3 months. Why would you think that shoving a bunch of steroids in your arm or your butt or your quad is going to get you to the next level? Sure, it's going to work, but you don't know what you're messing with.
Hmm.
So I dropped him, and then, didn't coach anybody else until I got out here in Montana. And I kind of fell into it. I train over at Ironbarn, um, on the east side of town. Um, and the gym owner's son, great kid, 13, 14 years old, but he's, autistic, high functioning autism, but he's still autistic. So to work with him, it was a new kind of challenge, and so trying to take all the cues that I've used with guys that I've worked with in my crew, or just giving people advice on, like, when you're squatting, okay, we're going to open our knees and we're going to sit back into the gear, or you really drive with your legs to get your touch point on your chest for the bench up higher, and all these little things. But that doesn't resonate with, an autistic kid. So I'm
Hmm.
having to go back to my early days as a dad, and all the things are okay, open up your mouth, here comes the airplane, and how you're so you had to change a lot of your, cues and messaging to meet the client that you're working with. And he's got some friends. So I'm training right now. I'm training about four teenagers, at the
Nice.
early stages of powerlifting. And when we get some people who are looking to either get into powerlifting or take the next step into powerlifting, they find our gym, and then I end up having a conversation with them, and we'll go from there.
Right on. Are most of those guys at Iron Barn that you're doing that training for? Do you do like also like the online stuff too?
I haven't done a whole lot of online. I don't market myself as an online coach. I
Sure.
can work with people. It just depends on what they're looking for.
Hmm.
I know what I wanted to look for, and I mean, I can write you a program all day long and twice on Sunday, but you're better off going to Elite FTS and looking at their library of old programs, and you're going to find the same thing. Save your money. I
Hmm.
mean, but if you want true online coaching, there's a commitment. Send me your progress. I know how it is with you. All right, send me your check-in. Show me your progress pictures. How are you feeling around, what you were eating? What was your energy levels throughout the day? Those are the things that I want from my clients. Send me the videos of your main movements. Because you're not paying me, because you just need a program. You're paying me because you want to progress, you want to get
Mhm.
better, you want my experience and my knowledge. So how can I, do you want to do that? Yes. Okay, then this is what I require. If you can't meet those needs, it's not because I don't like you. Just my time is too precious, and I'll cut you off, real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, your clients you have now, do they have any meets coming up shortly, or you got anybody that you're like
Yeah, we
hyped
got
on right
we
now?
got a we got a couple of things that we're working on. I've got APO nationals that are going to be hosted here in Billings in June.
No.
So I'm prepping for that. We have a young lady who is she 14 or 15? Um, she's the world record holder in her age, weight class for squat, deadlift, and total. And she's 5 pounds off of her bench, and she'll be competing in the Montana State High School State Championship in I think 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, beginning of March.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
Haley
That's good.
Sedgwick. She's awesome. Good kid, great family too.
That's really cool. How's my man Nick doing? That's the real question.
Nick's doing great. He had a late night arm wrestling practice on Saturday,
Mhm.
and I had texted him earlier in the week, said, "Hey, Sunday's a big bench day. I would love to see if you could come over and help me out because because I train and compete in multiply powerlifting, there's a process to getting into all this gear that we have to put on. I mean, you figure you're wearing a a tight multi-ply polyester, basically straight jacket, and I can get it pretty far on my body, but in order to get it to seat right in the arms, be right in the tricep, and have the right tension across the chest, you need
Mhm.
someone to really grab the back and help you swim into it. And I mean, I'm going to make a whole, video tutorial about how to get into a bench shirt or how to make sure that your squat suit is properly seated in your hips and crotch and all that fun stuff. So after his late night arm wrestling practice, he had committed to coming over Sunday morning to help, to help me bench. And sure enough, he was there, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I just love seeing his passion for strength sports. It's very, very, addictive. You're just like,
Mhm.
see, because when I first came to Montana and met him, he was training for a strongman event, but he was ply curious. He was interested in multiply powerlifting.
That's ply curious.
And and so then when I got there, then he's said, okay, I'm going to do this meet in April, and that was the APF Nationals. And I had only been in town for 4 months, and so when I moved, I had already committed to assisting at the meet versus actually competing in the meet. And just to watch Nick, to be present on the platform, to handle him, to make sure that he had the day that he wanted to was just great. And then of course he found arm wrestling, and he is all in. He's like, the most all in arm wrestler you could ever want to, you ever want to meet. And he's just eating it up. Any little thing that he can do that's gonna try and get him better, he's putting in the work, and it's very cool to see.
So you're next for arm wrestling, right?
Fuck no.
I had no
Nope.
idea it was like that big of a sport, but like I swear it just keeps popping up everywhere now, like
It
professional.
seems yeah, no, it's been going on forever. I mean, God, you remember back in the 90s, maybe the late 80s, where there was that movie with not Arnold, with Sylvester Stallone, Over the Top, that was all about arm wrestling, and he was like
Okay,
a
I've seen that.
truck driver. Oh yeah, Over the Top. When you get a moment and you want to watch a really bad movie, he's got his
Soul.
trucker hat, he turns it around backwards when it's getting ready to come on, let's arm wrestle. Okay. But
Yeah,
up here in the plains, the high plains, it's huge, huge. Like Eastern
really.
Eastern Montana, the Dakotas, Nebraska. Um, Northern Colorado. It's huge in this area.
I feel like in this area too, it's like I don't want to call it obscure sports, but it's stuff like that, and then like wrestling. You don't see that's like very big in like other areas.
Oh,
It's like the corn-fed like sort of sport. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's just huge. That sort of shit's just huge.
Hmm. It's funny that you say, I mean, those corn-fed type. I didn't have that growing up in the Bay Area. I wanted to wrestle. I wanted to play football, and even though we did have a football team, I had an overprotective mom, so I did not get into football, but I definitely wanted to wrestle. We didn't have wrestling offered at our high school. And then,
Too conservative.
yeah, right. I was big into volleyball. I mean, that was, the late 80s, early 90s. So you had, beach volleyball coming onto the scene in the Olympics, and you had the St. John Smiths and all the badass old school volleyball players that I just idolized. And being, a 6 foot nothing white boy with no hops, I had no chance on, being a decent volleyball player. But I loved it so much, and we didn't have a high school team. So I ended up having to coach the girls team, so I was an assistant coach with that, and it was a blast. So I all circling back to, the coaching question is, I love seeing people get the outcomes that they desire. Whether I'm selling you a software that's going to help your business operate more efficiently, or if I'm going to provide you some help in the gym that's going to allow you to hit your personal goals and personal records, that's what it's about for me. Is just helping you get to the outcome that you desire.
That's what we need more of, man. I feel like the whole fitness space a lot of times nowadays, especially with like just social media in general, it's just a cash cow.
Yes.
People just go for it. It
And
irks
I
me.
would say that it goes back before social media, because if you think about when we were in high school, just coming up, getting interested in strength sports, and you think about, the muscle and fitness magazines or the Weeder magazines,
Mhm.
all those were just, they weren't actual true magazines. They're a big advertisement. They're all owned by Weeder, by, name of giant, and not pharmaceutical, but, sports industry, nutrition, thing. And they're the ones that own these magazines that we're spending five, six, $7 a magazine a month on. You're just, oh my gosh, did you see Arnold's bicep in the latest, edition of, Muscle and Fitness? He was amazing. Oh, he's got these things called Arnold presses, and they just destroy your shoulders. Come on. I mean, the fitness industry has been so, bastardized and been this money grab for, let's go back to the USDA. When they first put out the nutrition pyramid, let's look at the history of that. Was it done out of the best interest of our nutrition? Hell no. It was done because there was a Seventh-day Adventist who was on that board, and they didn't like meat. Oh, meat's bad, meat's the enemy. So we're going to put that at the middle to high tier so you don't eat too much of it. Really? Come on. Let's look at some science here. I mean, the food pyramid hadn't been updated in what, 20, 30, 40, 50 years?
Something like that.
Yeah, with all the science progression that we've had, you'd think that that would maybe want to match, but no, we don't want to do that because there's no way to. I'm getting onto a political rant. Sorry.
You're good. Did you? There was some article I saw. I think it was like last week or something that it's like you shouldn't eat more than like 80 grams of protein a day.
Yeah.
I think is what I saw. I'm like, dude, that's like what I eat in a meal right now. Like, who who can survive on that?
Uh, I
That's
know.
ridiculous.
I just know for me, when I'm in meat prep, and I have my and I when I'm in meat prep, I don't get bodybuilder-esque around my meal plan.
Hmm.
I try and limit it. I try and dumb it down as much as I can to eating how, 1 gram of protein per body weight that I want to compete at. So if I want to
Mhm.
compete at 242, I'm going to try and get 240 plus grams of protein in a day. And that's what I'm going to prioritize. And I'll have to eat my protein until I'm full. And then if I have any room left over to add in any carbs or whatever, then I'll add those in after the fact. But my dietary restrictions are a little bit different than the average bear because 10 years ago I had weight loss surgery. So I
Mm.
went from, being able to eat anything and everything that I wanted to, shit, I'm gonna die if I don't make a significant change. Because, when you're overweight, you're looking for a magic bullet. Is this diet going to be the one? Oh, maybe I should intermittent fast, or maybe I should do keto. And, so I have a lot of experience jumping on a lot of, crash fad diets that never produced lasting results because in our society, how do we celebrate monumental events? With a meal.
Right.
So, oh, it's Alex's birthday. Oh, let's get together at Texas Roadhouse and have a nice big meal, and then we'll celebrate with a brownie
Good. I'll see
sundae.
you there, dude.
Right. And so
But
you
yeah,
take that over to weight loss. Or, all right, I'm doing Weight Watchers and I hit my 10%, goal of losing weight. Let's go celebrate. Oh, well, I kind of blew it out a little bit. I had a 20-ounce porterhouse, and all the fixins and 5 whiskey sours. Okay, I'll get back on tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and you're a little hungover and you just want, greasy spoon breakfast. And okay, well, maybe for lunch. And then, a day turns into a week, turns into a month, turns into a year. And you're like, fuck, I just gained, 10% plus another 10% back. So I've gone, from this, 350 down to 145 up to 450 and all around.
you were 450 pounds at one point.
Yep, at my heaviest, I was 450 pounds, and if
Holy
you look at
crap.
any of my my documented goals, they all are related to my heaviest weight. So on the platform, I have 3 goals. One, I want to hit a 2,000 pound total. I wanted to hit it before I'm 50, but my next opportunity is going to be the day after I turn 50. So we'll just kind of keep it there. But that's just kind of a big one. I threw that out before I really knew what a 2,000 pound total looked like. And then
Mhm.
someone's really, you think you're going to get a 2,000 pound total? Well, yeah, why not? I'm big and strong. I can get there. He's like, yeah, but you're 242. Everyone who's hitting 2,000 pound totals, they're at least 275 or bigger. I'm like, I'll figure it out. So that was, yeah. So I've been chasing that one ever since I, put my hand back on a bar. But then on bench press, I want to hit a 450 bench press because that is on the platform and because it's the same that I weighed. And then I want to hit a 900 pound total or a 900 pound squat because that's twice what so for anybody else, completely arbitrary. And if you look at the records, for weight class or age or whatever, those are nowhere near, records. But for me, and for I would say the majority of people who compete and lift, all the records that we do are all personal records of things that we're trying to do. So we're internally motivated to try and hit a goal that we've set for ourselves, and hopefully it's tied to something that is personally meaningful enough to keep that drive and interest to push forward, because there's going to come times where you're bored, you're tired, you're fatigued, you're injured, overtrained, whatever, and then to get back into finding that passion can be hard. I kind
Mhm.
of dealt with that this last year of all this change of relocating to a different state and establishing where we're going to do life, and what's our grocery store going to be, where are we going to go, what's our regular restaurant going to be, where all these things that seem arbitrary enough when you're in day-to-day life, but when it's pulled from you and you have to reset it up, it takes a toll, and you just kind of
Hmm.
feel, a little bit lost. And, so I love seeing, you and Morgan, post, things to your story of, oh, we found our coffee shop. I'm like, oh, I love that. I love that. I know that feeling. He's like, all right, so it's almost like a little bit of home, and it's, all right, this has been settled. It's like, you walk, Saturday morning, you wake up and you have all these chores you got to do, and I got to clean the house and make the bed and clean up the yard, and when you get done with all that, you're like, so it's kind of that same feeling of being settled when you find those little things. So it's only been in probably the last, 2, 3 months that I've really kind of found my focus and passion again for competing and lifting, just because life happens.
Hmm.
You move, you lose a job, you're looking for a new job. All those things are, they weigh really heavy on your mind. So thinking about sitting down on a, Sunday afternoon to write out a program, why? What does it matter? I don't know. I don't have a restaurant to go to. I don't want to have to go to Winco again. I don't want to have to go to Albertsons and not find the meats that I'm looking for. Just all kinds of stupid shit.
How do you think it's, I mean, 450 pounds is a hell of a body weight for
Yep.
sure. How do you think that your journey from your heaviest now down to where you at now, like, do you just hate hearing excuses? It's like I feel like making that big of a journey like that, that's a hell of a feat, man.
Yeah. It was absolutely wild. And so you go years and years of these yo-yo diets where you lose 50 pounds, you gain 75, you lose 100, you gain 125. And I just got sick and tired of being sick and tired. I got sick of the excuses that I would tell myself, oh, I'll work out later, or I'll get back on tomorrow. For a fat guy, I'm relatively heavy or relatively healthy. I'm pre-diabetic. I have sleep apnea, which is contributing to my epilepsy and all these things. But overall, I'm pretty healthy. All these things stupid. So, I had gone through the weight loss program. So in California, they have one of their bigger hospital systems is Kaiser Permanente.
Okay.
And to understand how Kaiser makes money, they make money by keeping people healthy, as opposed to the majority of industry where they make money for selling products and service. But they're a preventative maintenance kind of organization, so they have all kinds of wellness programs around how to eat better and how to lose weight without surgery and how to do all these mental health, and all designed to help keep their people, their members, healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Weight loss surgery kind of got this silver bullet type reputation where, oh, you just have weight loss surgery and you'll just lose all the weight and it's amazing. Well, there's got to be more to it than just that. So with Kaiser, they have a 6-month program where you really have to get in and understand what is entailed in the surgery process. So we've seen the process, and we've seen it from start to finish, what it looks like, visualize the surgery, understood what the impacts were going to be post-op and all these things, and the challenge that you're going to have to deal with. So you're able to make a very well-informed decision. And one thing that people don't talk enough about or impress enough about is cross addiction when it comes to weight loss surgery, because most people who are get to the point of having weight loss surgery or considering weight loss surgery, it's not just the physical attributes of being morbidly obese or whatever. There are so many mental impacts that we have to address and unpack, because we have used food as an antidepressant without knowing that we're using it as an antidepressant for years and years and years.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go from, 450 pounds and then you cut out 90% of my stomach, I can't sit down and have a 2000 calorie meal anymore. I just physically do not have the space. So you have to learn how to be open to, eating different and being different. For me, I wasn't a big drinker when I was, 450 pounds. Sure, I enjoy, a couple beverages and, have one too many and wear the wobbly boots from time to time. But it wasn't a part of my daily life until after I had the weight loss surgery. Because what I would find is that I would, my evening routine was to come home from work, have dinner with the family. My wife would go upstairs about 7 o'clock and go to bed. I would take care of the kids, put them to bed, and then stay up until 7, 8, or 9, 10, 11, whatever, just watching the news, being Eric. Well, when you sit there from 8 until 11 after everybody's gone to bed, you can get a little bored. You start getting into your feels, oh, my heart's hurting a little bit. Let's get some ice cream. Down the ice cream, and before you know it, you got a half gallon of ice cream gone. And then you open up a bag of chips, and so you got 1,000 calories going on at night, and that you didn't know. But when you don't have the physical room to put that in, you start looking for other ways to address those that mental anxiety and those feelings. So I'm like, well, if I can't eat my feelings away, it's been 6 months since surgery. I can go ahead and have a glass of wine or five. And that became the normal because I couldn't eat my feelings, but I could certainly drink them. And so that, kind of snowballed. So I was still losing weight. I mean, I went from, when I started the program at Kaiser, I was 450 pounds. Come surgery day, I was 390 pounds because they wanted you to eat to plan,
hmm
um, for a certain, just so you get used to it to make sure that you were capable of doing that stuff. And then
hmm
the weight started just falling off. I mean, I was losing anywhere from 25 to 50 pounds a month. I mean, it
Wow.
was literally falling off me. And there was one day I was probably 4 or 5 months out from surgery. And my boss at the time said, "Man, you're doing so great losing all this weight, but you got to stop losing weight because your skin is hanging off your bones." I mean, I just had jowls hanging down because my skin hadn't snapped back just yet.
hmm
Um, but one thing led to another, and I'm at a company business trip, well, a president's reward trip, for hitting all of our sales numbers, and drank way too much one night. The next morning, we were supposed to go on an excursion, and one of my buddies said, "Oh man, I need to hair the dog." I'm like, "What's that?" And mind you, I'm almost 35 years old, and I'd never heard of the hair of the dog, so I felt kind of stupid. And he's like, "Oh, it's a drink in the morning after a hard day of drinking." I'm like, "Oh, you can do that? That sounds pretty good. You mean that's normal? No one's gonna frown on me?" So that just opened up the doors for my alcoholism. So like, I don't think that I took a sober breath after realizing that I could have a drink in the morning and call it a hair of the dog. So the next 18 months was, pretty much a blur, of, how are you going to deal with a bad marriage and, the stress of job and life and all that, without having food or alcohol to, take away all the pain. Because it's surely too much to ask for me to deal with my problems without that.
hmm
Gosh, just let me drink myself into oblivion.
Dude, wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
So now I'm in August it'll be 9 years since I've had a drink.
That's really awesome, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
So
Did
it's been a blast.
what did do you feel like kind of did powerlifting have any sort of effect on like helping you go like go stay sober, I guess, or really make a change for yourself like that? Or
I would say it's a tool that
okay.
I've definitely leveraged. Um, it's funny is that everybody, kind of going back to, comment I made earlier about people looking for a silver bullet.
Hmm.
You know, powerlifting wasn't a silver bullet that helped me get sober, but it was definitely a tool when the anxiety and the mental burden of, white knuckling, the early days, being able to get into the gym and just work out some of those aggressions. I don't know why I'm doing 5 AMRAPs in a row. You know, I just know that I feel like I have to do this, otherwise I'm not going to be okay.
Hmm.
But for me, getting over the drinking, I can give 100% of the credit to the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. I mean, it got me out of myself, got me to take accountability for my side of the street in my life and reconnect me with God. So, between those things there, it's just kind of cleared, it's been that tank, that's pushed all the garbage to the sides of the street to allow me to easily deal with it and say, all right, now I got a clear path forward. I don't need to pick up all the garbage that I've laid down. Let's just keep, progressing forward and, having the gym to be able to reinforce the good things in my life that have come from getting sober is a blessing that keeps me coming back to the gym.
Do you, how has your yeah, how's the weight loss surgery itself? Has that kind of affected like anything you actually do in the gym or anything like performance wise or anything like that?
Performance, no.
Okay.
Where I can compete, and I say where as in what weight classes I can compete in,
Hmm.
is been really the only thing that the weight loss surgery has affected.
Gotcha.
Because of my, my physical limitations of my stomach, I can't consume, large meals. So if I
Okay.
got a wild hair at my butt and said, gee, I really want to compete at super heavyweight, which is 308 plus, I'm, pretty much shit out of luck unless I want to eat, heavy whipping cream protein shakes all day long, with, 2 tablespoons of peanut butter mixed in order to get enough calories. I've done it. It's miserable. Um, because I don't have the space for that to, to expand in my stomach. So
Hmm.
that's been the one limitation. When I moved out here, I was competing, 242, 275, and I was, I was able to eat enough to maintain that weight class. But then coming out here and not being as diligent about my training, because you're trying to establish life, and we already kind of talked about, the focus and passion, being key to keeping things progressing forward. Um, brain fart. That thought lost me. This is what you had to look forward to when you get to be 50 years old.
Don't worry, dude. My CTE from football is already kicked in, so Morgan's getting used to it.
Oh, yeah. Going back to the weight loss surgery and does it affect performance? No, I haven't had. Now because I haven't had the dedicated training, and when I don't have dedicated training, my focus on nutrition tends to fall off a little bit. So I'm all the way down. Well, actually, with between that and the flu that we got earlier in the winter, I think I got all the way down to 209. and I'm back up to about 220-ish right now. I don't
Okay,
want to compete there because none of my gear fits properly when I'm, competing that, and I just really don't want to spend another, $1,000 on, powerlifting gear and then pray that I
fit
can
it
break
right.
it in before meet time.
What made you choose like equipped lifting versus unequipped?
Uh, who doesn't want to be a part of, voodoo and magic? Um, so when I found out about, multiply powerlifting, I was training at Mark Bell's gym in Sacramento, and he had his little team, so Mark had a fantastic world-class powerlifting gym, and it was free. You could come in on Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday, from some open hours. But if you showed commitment and you weren't just a gym, I would say a gym bro, but if you weren't just going to go get like if you showed some interest in powerlifting, they, would invite you to be a part of the powerlifting team, that Mark Bell had.
Hmm.
And Mark wasn't necessarily coaching, but he was always there and he would point out, things. And so for those who don't know who Mark Bell is, he's, a world record holder, equipped powerlifter who's transitioned over into more general fitness, and whatnot. But Mark knows his stuff. He's a powerhouse in this industry. But
Hmm.
we had a guy coming out to visit from Tennessee, and he was a small guy, maybe a 220, 5'3", soaking, just short, short little guy. But and so he's, working out with us, and it's bench day, so he's coming in and he's, doing 405 for, 3, 4 reps. I'm like, oh, not bad for a shorter guy. And then he pulls on this black shirt. I'm like, what in the hell is he doing? Now, mind you, I just saw him rep out 405 for, 3, 4 reps.
Hmm.
And then they load up 675 on the bar. I'm like, do we have a midget coming in? Morgan, I would like some coffee over here, please.
Perfect.
It's right
Uh,
here.
Fill her up.
um,
Thanks, son.
and so I see him sliding on the shirt, and then they're loading up the bar for 675. I'm like, he's not really gonna try this, is he? This is crazy. Sure enough, he's got this shirt on. They put a board on his chest, and he takes 675 to a 2 board after I just watched him rep out 405. Uh, what did you just do?
What black
What
cat?
is exactly? I'm like, what is that voodoo? Because I need some of that in my life. And so he's all, oh, it's a bench press shirt and blah blah blah. He's all, here, why don't you give it a try? Okay, I'm dumb enough, to try it out, throw it on. Mind you, at the time I was about a 250, 275 raw bencher. Put me in the shirt, they load up 365. I'm like, oh, I've never held that much. I've never held 3 plates over my face, let alone 3 plates at a 25. So I'm like, I'm getting into my feels and my scares. I'm a little nervous. Take it, bring it, and it pops right back up. I'm like, oh, I'm hooked. I am absolutely hooked because there's always that ego lifter in the back of my mind, and I don't care who you are or how long you've been training. Ego lifting is a part of, we always want to see if we can do a little bit more. Oh,
Hmm.
I just did, 10 plates on the leg machine, on the leg press for 12 reps. I wonder if I can go 12 plates or if I can go, 20 reps. We're always trying to, so the gear allowed me to scratch that ego lift without feeling completely wrecked for 2, 3 days after the fact because
Hmm.
I'm, as a 40-year-old guy, I'm training with and in training crews with guys who are in their early to mid 20s. So they're able to push their bodies further than I was just because they could recover faster than I could.
Hmm.
So when I got into gear, I felt like I was able to keep up with them, from a recovery standpoint. Now, mind you, I was lifting, good 20, 30, 40% more than equal guys in my weight class. But the protection on my hips, the protection on my shoulders. So I wasn't feeling like, after a bench day that my arms are just, you know, dangling by my rotator cuffs or labrum or something. So that's kind of how I got into it. And
I
I kind of like to be, march to the beat of a different drum, of my own drum. Nobody at super training ever wanted to get into gear, and that was fine. So I found some other guys who were crazy like me and wanted to get into gear. And so we, ended up at another gym and, taking from there. I was the first guy multiply to show up at Alan Thrall's Untamed Strength Gym in Sacramento.
hmm,
By the time I left 3 years later and moved out to Montana, we had a crew of 15 multiply powerlifters that were, they were driving, some of them were driving upwards of an hour and a half, 2 hours from the Bay, from, Tahoe, just so they could be around other guys training in gear. So
I
it's been a blast.
I can't say there's a better reason to get into it than training with or taking stuff from Mark Bell himself. So
Yeah,
I think you win.
yeah, right. And I'll tell you, Mark's a terrible coach. He's the great guy. He's got an eye, but Mark, and he'd probably say this, he's a little ADHD.
Okay.
So he's a business owner, he's doing big thing. He's not a gym bro anymore. He's leveled up in his life. So when we're all training, when the team's training, he will walk in, doing something, something else. He might be getting ready to film content or brainstorming or something. And he'll come over and he'll say, okay, that was good. You might want to, tuck your elbows a little bit sooner on your press, or you want to push your knees out a little bit wider, and then he's gone. You know, wait, no, I want you to help me. Yeah, no, did I do it right, coach? Did I do it right? Yeah, but that's not Mark's forte. He can point something out, but then he's, on to, many other things. I have so much respect for Mark Bell as a businessman, as a human, because he's taken his lot in life of, being dyslexic and ADHD and all these, learning disabilities, and he never let it, kind of define him and keep him in a box. He's like, well, Hulk Hogan, that's my idol. He, says his prayers, takes his vitamins, and he's big and strong. So that's how I'm going to be. And he just, he went on that path, and now he's, one of the biggest names in, fitness industry that we know.
The king of carnivore himself too.
Yeah, right.
Have- Of all your diets, have you tried the carnivore?
I have. I, I can do it, but if you can get, the problem is, I don't say problem. The challenge is getting through the first 2 weeks.
Hmm.
And one thing that's not said enough from the media, and I think most people who are in the know around nutrition and sports performance, they understand that every body is different. Everybody has different conditions, have different, different, afflictions.
Hmm.
Carnivore is really good for people with autoimmune diseases and disorders because
Absolutely.
it removes a lot of the fluff that's triggering their outbreaks. For the general human, I would say that, carnivore is beneficial, but there's still benefits that you can get from some carbs, some fats that you need to be at your ultimate performance. So when my wife will run keto or carnivore, I will run it alongside of her, but I always, have, some rice in the fridge, or I'll make a baked potato or a yam or something, just so I can get some clean burning carbs in my diet and she can stay on hers.
Oh, right on. I did keto like a long time ago when I got done playing football. And like that was good for like just some like initial weight loss. I think I lost like 40 pounds at the time. That I was also doing like chicken and broccoli, and that was it. I just couldn't imagine trying to do something like carnivore and trying to perform highly. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
I'll get some kids that are playing football right now. They're like, "Well, I watched this one documentary and it kind of sounds like carnivore keto is the best way to go, or I want to do vegan when I'm done." I'm like, "What?
Yeah.
Who's giving you kids information about how to be be an athlete or train in the weight room or what to eat?" It's
I
I'm
think it's that's an interesting, you just brought a thought to my mind. I wonder if societally we are constantly looking for a way to be involved, to be a part of, to have an identity. It's so easy to get caught up in, I'm a power lifter and my name is Eric Rosburg, versus I am Eric Rosburg and I compete in powerlifting,
Mhm.
right? So the identity becomes what you see. I want you to think that you see a power lifter versus seeing me as Eric Rosberg, because Eric Rosberg, I'm fallible, I'm imperfect, I need a savior, I need all these things. And if I'm not okay with who I am, I have to latch on to some kind of identity, whether it's powerlifting. Oh, I do keto. And it sort of becomes an identity. And then
Mhm.
in some diets, it almost becomes a religion. Yeah,
Dude.
because and I not to throw vegans under the bus, but vegans, vegetarians, they tend to take a more ideological perspective on eating the way that they're eating versus this
It's
is what's
cool.
good for my body. This is what's going to fuel my performance. And if we can start thinking about nutrition as a way to fuel our performance and get us to the goals that we want, whether it's staying awake all day during work without having to have a power nap or a cup of coffee at 2 o'clock in the afternoon,
Hmm.
or I need some pre-workout at 4 o'clock to get me through my evening training session. We don't need any of that. Sure, it helps, but we don't need to have any of that. And we don't need to define our personal identity in, a powerlifting program, in, a diet program. Just be comfortable in your own skin and do the things that you love to do, like lifting weights or eating right or whatever it might be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody gets away from what like just the basis of what they're trying to do. It's like, why are you here? Why are you playing football right now? Well, to be the best football player or to be the best bodybuilder. You know, it's like improve in the gym. Like that should be it. That should all you be caring about. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I absolutely agree. Is I think it's just so hard because every I feel like there's just so many different agendas or different information that's posted about, you know, it's just like, well, what's correct? Nobody actually knows because it sounds like everything actually kind of works. And everything's context dependent too.
Exactly. One guy that he's a little brash, but I very much respect how he approaches nutrition science. It's Dr. Lane Norton. You probably know
Yep. Hmm.
him. Everything that he talks about on his, YouTube, Instagram, whatever, everything that he's talking about, he's backing up with peer-reviewed science reports.
Hmm.
So, this is what the study says, and this is the quality of the study. So, someone who's, coming into it and looking, you mean I can't take this magic pill and instantly, lose all this weight? I can't take Ozempic and, instantly be skinny or,
Don't get me started on
whatever. Uh, yeah, I thought that it was interesting at first. So I started looking into it, and it is scary. Some of the side effects that can come of that if you're doing it inappropriately.
it. Hmm.
It makes me very, very, very nervous.
Hmm. It's God, it's just, if it hasn't been around like long enough, like it's I just don't see the merit in anything until there's like at least maybe like 5, 10 years of research on it. Which we can go into shit about COVID vaccines too about that sort of
Yeah,
stuff. But
right, 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 right. I mean, that's who knew that this was gonna be like a societal review of America right now and all the problems. But why if we've done all these peer-reviewed studies and really done the research to understand the impact and what these vaccines, medications can treat, why do we have such the need to feel like, oh, we got to create a new vaccine to meet the COVID, demand? First of all, why don't we look at some of the past treatments that we have available to us to treat the symptoms that we see from COVID, regardless of how it got here, whether it came from, a wet lab in Wuhan or, somebody ate a bad bat. I don't freaking care. But if you're having respiratory issues, if you're having these issues, and ivermectin treats those symptoms, why not use a 40-year-old drug? Exactly. Why not use a 40-year-old drug to meet the need? And then you can work on something that meets it more specifically, but don't throw the baby out with the bathwater just because, this isn't a new vaccine.
I'm with you, buddy. Don't worry. Uh, do you have a client to train at 9 today?
I do not. Actually, I have to
Okay.
go in, and this will be the first day that I have to put a squat suit on.
Have to. You mean get to, right?
No, I have to. I have to. I don't want to be in it. I don't want to feel this will be the first time I've been in a squat suit in uh, probably 4 or 5 months. So I'm not looking forward to getting used to the compression again.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, it
Oh,
feels like when you get the straps completely up and cranked down and you start, descending with that big weight on your back, God, the amount of pressure that builds up from your knees
mm,
all the way up to the top of the straps just, makes you feel like, your head's gonna, pop off when you start getting towards the bottom of that squat.
oh yeah. What's your totals look like right now?
Well, my last competition was beginning of 2023 or end of 2022, and I had a 678 squat, a 402 bench, and a 703 deadlift. So it's not terrible, but I definitely got to get, if I can keep my deadlift at that 700 range and then add, maybe 100, 150 to the squat and 100 to the bench, I should be knocking on the door of that total that I'm looking for in June.
Okay. Oh yeah, dude, you got time, dude. Hell yeah. Be right there. Do you have any specific goals with like your coaching this year? Or I know we talked about like your 2000 total that you want, but is there any other like specific goals that you're kind of shooting for this year?
From training and lifting, that's my only goal. It was the 2,000 pound total and, the squat and bench, records.
Hmm.
But from a training perspective or, like a client perspective, I want to get to the point where I have one other, geared lifter that I can train or at least train with because, misery loves company. And, multiply powerlifting is, really a team sport.
Hmm.
Because I talked a little bit earlier about, I had to have Nick come in and help get me into my bench shirt. Well, it's the same thing when, you're squatting and deadlifting, and not so much on deadlifting, but on squatting. It's not about getting into the gear, but we don't walk things out. So if I stand up with a squat, I'm not taking 2 steps back to get settled, because I got 700 pounds on my back. So, well, you got 700 pounds, plus you got your knees wrapped up like a mummy, and then you're wearing a giant ass diaper suit. So I'm not going to waddle my ass back 3 steps just to get clear of, the hooks. That's why we have the monolift. So,
Hmm.
just get me in a monolift and move the racks and let me squat. But if you fail in multiply, it happens so quick and it can be so devastating that the amount of support that you need in training, just from a spotting perspective, definitely increases.
Yeah.
So I would like to ultimately, start to recruit and build, a powerlifting, a multiply crew, in Billings. So, we can just keep expanding, this part of the sport.
I th that would be really cool, man. It's if anybody can put it together in Billings, Montana, it's definitely going to be you. So,
We're gonna try. We're gonna try.
well, shit, dude. You got anything else you want to touch on?
Um, I love, I want to go back to weight loss surgery for just a second because for
Yeah.
me it wasn't an easy decision, but for me it was the best decision that I could have made. Now, mind you, going back to something that we had just talked about, around finding our identity,
Mhm.
weight loss surgery is no different, because it's really easy to identify as a weight loss surgery patient or somebody who has radically, transformed their health and through weight loss surgery. But it's just a tool. You know, our health journeys, our weight loss journeys, our strength journeys, our platform journeys, they all, have to follow a process. And there's just a number of tools. Like if I walk into the gym today and say, all right, I want to be, the best squatter. I want to have the heaviest squat of all time. What do I have to do to get there? Well, it's not just, walking up to a bar, standing up, squatting down and standing back up again. There's so many, there's hours and hours of, squats that you have to do, of accessories that you have to do, of food that you have to deal with, and, all these, recovery and massage and this and that. All that combined, brings you to getting a bigger, ultimately the heaviest squat in time. Now, if you flip that to weight loss, I'm 450 pounds. I'm never going to be in the 200s. I'm never going to see Wonderland of, 199.99999. I'm never going to see that, but how do I get there? Well, you can have weight loss surgery, and that is a tool that reduces how much you can physically eat. Well, if you don't take that tool serious and refine what you're putting into your body. Am I putting 87 octane in, or am I putting 92 with some, you know, Techron or whatever additive to help me get over the hump?
Uh-huh.
So that is how I think a lot of people need to really think about weight loss surgery. It's a hell of a great tool, but it is only a tool. you still have to do the work in the gym. Refine your meal plan to find what's going to work for your body for whatever goals you're going to be, whether you want to do CrossFit, whether you want to power lift, what if you just want to be, an active grandma, to be able to bend down and pick up your grandkids. Find the goal that you want to go after, and then use the weight loss surgery, and then use it as a tool to get you to those goals. Because my life, I could have never thought that I would be, almost 50 and being able to bench, on a regular basis, 4 plates,
Mhm.
to be able to, squat, more than my son still. There's just so many benefits that I get out of being on this side of the weight loss surgery. I met my wife through weight loss surgery. She didn't have weight loss surgery,
Well,
but I'm passionate about the things that are giving me results, whether it's powerlifting or whether it's weight loss surgery. I want to help others with their journey. So I got into helping other people in the Kaiser program to understand what they're going to expect when they go through the process, what they're going to expect on surgery day, what they're going to expect, after surgery and getting on the other side of things. And so I had met another lady who was just as passionate as I was. We were both providing support to other weight loss surgery folks. And she said to me, you keep dating these crazy girls. You need, I got my best friend is, so we got introduced, and, we're relatively like-minded. She wasn't on the weight loss surgery, program, and didn't need to be, but that's kind of how, we opened ourselves up to, finding love again. Who knew?
who knew?
Yeah. Have weight
That
loss surgery, get a bride.
that's I really that's such an important message too. It's like the weight loss surgery itself, it is a tool, and like you've already touched on a bunch of times, like everybody's always looking for like some sort of silver bullet or quick fix sort of deal for things.
Mhm.
When it comes down to it, at the end of the day, it's again whether you're just a grandma trying to pick up her grandkids, like it's always going to come down to what you're doing with your food, what you're doing with your training, or whatever that looks like with your working out,
Mhm.
or it's really going to come down to stress management and recovery too. That everything else only builds on top of that sort of stuff. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing as you drive out into eastern Montana. I going back to my desire to be a rancher someday. It'll probably never happen, but you have to start somewhere. But you're driving out, and you meet a realtor. I'm going to show you this 800-acre ranch out in Hysham on Sarpy Creek. It's going to be amazing. You get out there and like, oh, this is really amazing. There's no buildings. There's no nothing. There's no infrastructure. All right. I want to build a ranch. So I need a barn. I need a house. I need, storage. So what are the tools that I need to fulfill my goal of being a rancher and having a ranch? Okay, I need these things. All right. So now I need some supplies. I need some lumber. I need some hammers. I need some saws. I need these tools that are going to help me get to where I am. It's no different with our fitness goals. All right, I'm
mhm.
450 pounds. What are the tools that I need to build the brick shit house that I want to be, being, sub 10, 10% body fat, being able to squat, said numbers. What are the tools? Okay, so weight loss surgery, that's one. Okay, my food is another, strength training is another, and sleeping is another, and recovery, so understanding how to use all the tools at your disposal to build the house that you're looking for is really where we need to be guiding our clients and our folks, from my
Absolutely.
perspective.
I think that's a good perspective
Yeah.
to have. So,
Yeah.
but all right, dude. Well, I don't want to keep you all morning here. I,
Yeah.
you're a busy man.
We try.
So we try. Me too. I would like to say I try, but Morgan probably has a different opinion.
Yeah. She's got a list of things that you can try to do.
Yeah, maybe stop napping 2 hours a day. Trying to be a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
So something about trying to get to 300 pounds. You get tired.
Yeah. Believe me, I know.
Well, shoot, dude. Where? So it's people listening to this. Where would be the best place to reach a man like you?
I can be found on Instagram at eric.rosburg. Yeah, I'm pretty much wide open. I'm an open book as far as, information, guiding you to, finding resources on just starting out in powerlifting or getting down into, the wonderful world of, multiply powerlifting. I'm here to help provide information and resources.
Awesome. And you're at Ironbarn. That's what it is.
Yep, Ironbarn gym in Billings, Montana is where I call home, and probably I don't want to say the only, well, it's the only true powerlifting slash strongman gym in Billings that's dedicated to just that.
hmm Last best
But
place.
yeah, exactly.
Uh, awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate you taking the hour and a half to hop on and talk society with me and powerlifting. So,
Absolutely. All right, brother. Good talking to you.
all right, my man, you have a fantastic day.
All right, you too, bud. Bye.
See ya.